That's rule number one. The biggest mistake so many agents make.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
The second topic, which is obviously staying top of mind, is going to be systems and automations, like knowing who's where in what cycle, how long they've been with you, what you're doing for them, how long you contacted them for. So, you've said here systems and automations so you can work less and make more money. Obviously, that coincides with the team and leverage. I think 99% of real estate agents want this. They just have no fucking clue how to get it. I think this is like the biggest one, which is I love real estate and I enjoy it right now. But in 20 years, I don't want to have to be grinding leads to sell 30 homes a year to make my six figures. I want to now be spending time with my family. I want to go to the Bahamas and not have to worry about, closing deals. So how have, talk us through what you mean by systems automations, what you guys have got set up and how that's changed your business.
I don't know. This is always so painful to talk about because we always think that everything needs so much work. But like when you compare it to like what's actually out there, what most people are doing, it's actually pretty great.
What most people out there are doing is nothing or very little.
Well, listen, I was that guy too. Like, I heard I don't even know who said this, but somebody said it like within this year sometime. And it's been like ringing in my head over and over and over again. And I really wish I could remember who said it. But it was like somebody who was saying they'd been in the industry for like X amount of years, like a long time. And they said that they were essentially just repeating year one over and over and over and over again. Like, I'm sure it's nothing groundbreaking or new. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I had never heard that before. And I was like, holy shit, that just basically describes the majority of my 13 years in this, well, not 13, but like the earlier part. I thought I was great, but I was just, always having to like hustle. Like, where's that next deal coming from? Like always just trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. So for us, the systems and automation simply means that we just have workflows in place that are managed by somebody who is not an agent that helps things get from A to Z as efficiently as possible. And that involves, anything from, once the transaction is done, waiting, closing, then we have a certain series of emails that goes out to those clients so they know what to expect and what's happening. Kind of like, what the bane of our existence, what we're trying to figure out and always kind of nail down is like answering the what happens next question, like before it's asked. And, it's an uphill battle and we're always adding to it. And, we could certainly work harder on it. But I think we've done as good a job as we can right now, considering how quickly we've grown with those systems. And with those systems in place, that's going to help you get to, scale to wherever you need to. And then there's also, everybody's always talking about new leads. But like, what about the people that have already given you their money? The people that have already trusted you with their business? You got to have a program in place to help those people out and make sure they're taken care of. So something that we're taking super seriously going forward is like, a referral program and a gifting program for clients to make sure that we're remembered. And, between their real estate cycles, which could be, first time buyer will probably buy again in like 3 years, let's say. But somebody who's buying their move up home, you might not hear from them for real estate for the next like 7, 8, 9 years, right? So like, how do you stay memorable during that time?
Yeah, because sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and how do you get business from those people? Like, you don't send them gifts because you want a referral. You keep in touch with them because, well, number one, hopefully you like them. And number two, they've trusted you with their, a huge asset. And so you want to show your appreciation for that. And if referrals come, they come. That's awesome.
Yeah, like what most realtors are great at is like contacting a lead, not staying in touch with the lead if they're not ready, but finding a hot lead, working through the transaction, doing a deal, and then poof, they're gone, right? And we realize that, and we realize you after managing over the years, probably close to 500 different realtors, I realized that you're never going to be able to retrain that, and that's just who realtors are. Like, they're going to chase the buck, most of the time, and forget about the next transaction that's going to happen in 3 to 5 years, or the referrals that could come in between. So it was really important for us to build the systems that would really help out with that experience and make sure that the client's taken care of the second that the transaction's finished, right? And so that's like, we have systems in place that email them, like as soon as our agent we have a form that as soon as they do a deal, that deal doesn't get recognized until they fill out the form and upload the paperwork. And that's mandatory. And they do that the second, we train them to do it the night the deal goes, as soon as the deal goes firm. And as soon as they do that, or even before it gets firm, as soon as the deal is written and accepted, they're supposed to enter it. And a series of emails automatically goes out immediately. So like our first email says like, congratulations on your purchase of blah, 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 blah property. Here's a look what's going to happen. And here's what we need from you, your lawyer, your mortgage broker contact. And don't worry about it. We're going to send them all the paperwork that they need, right? Like, and if you don't have a lawyer or mortgage broker, would you like some referrals? Just respond, right? And then the whole way reminding them of like, here are the things you need to take care of in terms of your move.
Like address changes and all kinds of stuff.
Address changes, booking. So it's like building out those systems, which really like keep, the entire experience for your agent or for your clients at the highest level, right? And then of course, systems on the front end with lead nurturing are ultra important. And, we write all our own drip campaigns. We build custom drip campaigns for our agents, depending on, like Mila has done a great job at leveraging social media to do seminars. So we help her write drip campaigns that go out to everyone who attended or signed up for the seminars. Getting the leads from Facebook, Google, wherever into our CRM and having them contacted, creating workflows there. A lot of that currently is on R and I, but like the whole back end is our admin team. Like the whole
like we said, like we're building this team. We're 1 year and September, October, November, December. So like 1 year and 3 months in to this team. So like we're well ahead of where we thought we would be. And, now we're just making sure that we fine tune all the things that we have. So like, it's cool hearing us talking, like Ryan talking about it, because it makes me feel like we've actually accomplished something versus, because you're always like, I don't know, like when you're always working on something, it's like, oh, this has to be better. That has to be better. Like you don't take a moment to like stop and appreciate what you've actually put together. So anywho, like all that stuff that we do really just helps the agents and us focus more on the people versus the actual, getting into the trenches of the transaction.
Which was the idea behind the team, that we would allow our agents to just interact with people and everything else would be taken care of for them. Like their job is to like call a lead, classify the lead once, whether they've spoken to them or not. And then, do a consultation with that lead when that lead's ready for a consultation, do showings, make an offer, and everything else we have systems to take care of.
We've even created the buyer consultation, right? Like none of our agents go and show a property as the first time you're meeting a client. That's just not an effective
rule
way.
Number one, biggest mistake so many agents make.
Mistake agents make, big time.
Yeah, you show up. Guess what? You show up to an appointment and the first meeting is to show them a property. You haven't properly qualified that person and don't even know if they're a real buyer or they can buy what they're telling you they can buy. People are way better at bullshitting over the phone than they are in person or over Zoom. So if you're showing up and your first meeting with someone is to just show them a couple properties or a single property, guess what? You're nothing but a tool to open a door, which like any agent can do for them. And now you add no more value than in Toronto. We have the most agents per capita in the world. We have like 60,000 registered realtors in the GTA. Okay. To put that into perspective, New York City has 25,000.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah. So like the competition's heavy, right? Like the average Toronto realtor does something like 2.4 transactions a year.
Whoa.
So the
but that's still equivalent to $2.53 million in volume, almost, right?
It is, but try living in Toronto off that. You can't. Like Toronto's just gotten so expensive. It's like, but anyways.
So I got a question for you guys. So you have a system, you have a process before they even get in the car and show them a property. What does that buyer presentation have in it that's tangible for anybody who's listening that they can implement, where it's like, okay, this client's worth my time. I'll get him in the car. Like, do you set expectations? Do you get them pre-approved? What is a buyer's presentation?
Everything. First of all, nobody gets in our car. I don't know if you heard about COVID, but that's
that's true.
That's a bit of a problem.
I'm in Florida, so here we're almost in a different world, gentlemen.
Yeah, they don't have it exist in Florida. There's no COVID in Florida.
No, it does not.
Yeah. But like, this isn't like the buyer consultation isn't like a conversion tool. Like, it's really just, it can be, I guess, but really the buyer consultation is a series of steps, like 7 steps that starts with something as simple as like how to pick your agent. And sure, we're on the phone with that person, but we talk about like what you should look for in an agent. And if we're not that person, then they'll figure it out. And then, we talk about pre-approval and what that means. And we talk about what, the most important thing. Imagine you're a buyer, right? You've never bought a place before. And you go see like a bunch of places. And then you like one. And all of a sudden, okay, there's like 7 other offers. Imagine starting to learn about what the buying process looks like once there's like 7 offers on the table and you have to buy a place that day. Like, how successful do you think you're going to be, and how emotionless do you think you're going to be in that situation? Not very, right? So the whole point of this consultation is we go over every document you'll be signing in. So we have like the what is it called?
Plain language forms.
Plain language forms, meaning you take the legal docs and they're all marked up with like regular English. So you see, exactly what you're going to sign.
I love that because I don't know about your guys' contracts, but our contracts, they're confusing as fuck. You're looking at this and you're like, I think it says this, but it really says that.
Like, most of it's fine. It's just boilerplate stuff, but it's good to know that, what you're signing. So we go over that at the very beginning. So the whole point, and Ryan did a really great job with like talking about this a lot and creating the whole vibe around it, is like, you want the whole buying process, like, it should be fun and exciting, right? And it's not fun and exciting when you're learning as you go. So we basically put a buyer on a Zoom call and we go through, it's like a 1-hour thing, and we sit there, we go back and forth. And at the end of it, this is Ryan's influence on it here as well, is we get people to create. So we have these like, Spring Team notebooks, and we give them to the buyers, and we ask them to create like a top 7 must-have list and then compare the list. And then I think Ryan likes to say, okay, now eliminate the bottom 2 of that must-have list.
Yeah, it's top 10 and it's top 10, put it in order and knock off the bottom 3. So you only have 7.
So you end up with 7. You can tell how long it's been since I've done a proper buyer consultation. but the what was I going to say? Oh, right. So then that happens, and you've essentially armed this buyer with like all the knowledge they need, and you've also had them create a list of non-negotiable must-haves. So when they go into a property later and they're like, nah, we don't really like it. I'm like, what do you mean? It has the things that you mentioned that you wanted. What's the real reason why you don't like it? It just always gives you like this foundational map almost, or like checklist to call people on their bullshit and help them get out of their own way sometimes. And, maybe it's a, come to Jesus moment. They're like, holy shit, these aren't really my must-haves. These are actually my must-haves. And, that's the whole point of it all, just to make the whole process less emotional and a lot more clinical in terms of all the, administrative deal related things. So you can actually have fun when you're buying, even in the world's most competitive market like Toronto.
Yeah. And the second part of that, like, so yes, it's to like make shopping fun again. And that's what we tell people why they're doing it, is like, this is the biggest purchase of your life. It should be fun. So we walk through the whole process, as he said. We have spreadsheets where we go over like the incremental costs of buying, like how much money they'll need up front, when they need it, what their carrying costs are going to look like. So they make sure they can actually afford. Like, we go over all of that. We get them as comfortable as possible. But on the flip side of why it's super important, and especially for the agents to do this, is meeting someone over Zoom, or when there wasn't COVID, in person. allows you to qualify them way better, because people can bullshit you over the phone, right? And we train our agents to ask the right questions. Like agents, this is just an example. Agents love asking, oh, have you been pre-approved for a mortgage, right? Like, do you have financing in place? And in a super competitive market like Toronto, that's like of the utmost importance. It's super easy over the phone for someone to say, yeah, I've been pre-approved. So we teach our guys, like in this consultation, we give them a string of questions that they ask, which will tell them, are they actually pre-approved? Oh, that's great. Were you pre-approved by your bank or a mortgage broker? What rate did you get? Is it fixed? Is it variable? What are the other terms of the mortgage? Like, these are all the important things. And if someone's actually got pre-approved, they'll know a lot of this. And if they haven't, you'll be able to tell quickly. People struggle to bullshit you to your face versus over the phone. And it just allows our agents to get really clear on what their clients are actually looking for and to build rapport. And like, that's the whole thing for me, is like the rapport building opportunity that you get in this 1 hour session to learn about people, right? Like we started off with rapport building, and I teach them questions, how to build rapport by asking questions without asking. Like, you eventually get to asking them what they do on Saturday nights without starting it off, what do you do on Saturday nights, and it being awkward. It's like a series of questions that leads into it. But like, now you're taking notes on like, this person loves this basketball team, or they love to run in their spare time, or they're a foodie and they love going to restaurants. Well, guess what? Now even if like they're not ready to buy right now, I now have a reason to reach out to them, right? And I keep it in my notes that like, okay, Tom said they're 1.5 years from buying. They're comfortable with the process. They're just not ready yet. Why am I going to touch base other than my drip campaigns with Tom? Well, now I know he loves restaurants. So next time I go to an awesome restaurant, the next day, text message, hey, Tom, have you tried this restaurant? Went there, it was amazing. Remembered how much you love restaurants. Guess what? Now you're a human being. And even though he told you he's 1.5 years, it's 3 months later, he may be like, oh, Ryan, crazy that you reached out. I actually found out I'm getting a bonus at work and I want to buy sooner. Right? And so it just benefits you in so many ways, because like, it allows you, like 70% of people work with the first realtor they meet, right? So that's why most realtors just go get in a car and meet that person. But like, if you add a ton of value and get to know someone and get to build rapport, I truly believe that 70% becomes like 95%. So if I spend an hour of my time with someone who tells me I'm 2 years out, well, guess what? If I spend that hour with them and then do these odd touch points in the next 2 years, it's probably a 95% chance they're going to work with me. And that's how I build agents to doing $500,000 plus a year GCI, like we did at Condos.ca, because I teach them how to stuff their funnel. Like, their funnels are fucking like, most agents are like, do a deal. Where's my next deal coming from? Agents on my team are like, do a deal. Like, my goal for my agents is 25 leads in their funnel at all times. 1 out, 1 in. And it doesn't matter if it's like in the next 6 months or if it's in 2 years, because some of those 2 years will move up, some of those 6 months will move back, and you'll make calls to leads that are 1 year old that you never got a hold of that are now ready to go, because the average online lead buys in 18 months. So the average year-old lead is better than a brand new lead. But agents don't realize that. They focus on the brand new leads.
Like, everybody always wants fresh leads. And like, after all of that, and even, if you've spent all this time with somebody, and then all of a sudden this person for some reason decides to just like check and maybe work with another agent, and like, they're going to constantly remember all the things we went through and then compare to how they're being treated by this other agent. And then a lot of times you'll find that person come back. People just resurface sometimes. So provide the value, and whether you get the client or not, that shouldn't be the focus of it. Your focus is provide the value, and do your best to connect with somebody else as a regular human being, and there's a pretty good chance they'll be working with you.
one of the things that I'm thinking of is like, how the fuck do you guys get all this done in 1 hour? Because I try to do these buyer consultations in an hour, and fuck me.
You just have to have your systems built out, and like you just have to follow your process, right?
Yeah, you have to create like a proper guide, right?
So I have a PowerPoint and a slideshow or whatever, like when I'm speaking to them, but it's never an hour from what you guys are saying, and I don't gather as much information or as much in depth as what you're saying as well.
So you just So like you give a lot of it to them for homework, right? Like you don't review the friggin' contract with them in person. You give them the plain language forms and you say this is homework. Like stuff that's very basic, you're quick on it. And we have a checklist, right? Like we have our buyer's checklist. It's like 3 pages long. We send them a copy of that to refer to, and they can come back and ask us questions, right? So like you just learn how to spend time on the important things. And every buyer is different. And that's like, it's a skill set you build of like understanding what's important for each buyer, right? Like someone who's not a first time buyer, I'm not going to spend that much time on the process. I'm just going to make sure they understand it. And maybe we're spending way more time on like with an investment worksheet, looking at different properties that might be a better investment for them. And it's really just about building out your system. And like, after you do it with a number of people, you know, like what are the really important points that you need to hit and what can be quickly gone through.
Understood. Now, when we're talking about systems and automations, where do you guys draw the line between automating too much or not enough? I'm assuming you have a CRM. What does that dynamic look like?
Well, for me, like I'm all about touch points. I'm like the touch point lover, but like you got to understand, Canadians aren't as aggressive as our fellow compatriot Americans. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that I used to read, like I'd bring it to Canada and it was just like way too fucking aggressive. And like, even my agents would be like, holy shit, like I can't do this. And so like we had to scale it.
Yeah, we have no fucking chill. We're just like hammering you.
So we had to scale it back a bit, but we're still like, you know, when a lead signs up, it should be in the first 30 days, 15 touches, 6 calls, and then a bunch of emails. And then if you don't get a hold of them, then it's like it goes like bi-monthly to reach out. You know, if you've spoken with someone, it depends what drip campaign. When you put them on a drip campaign in our CRM, it also creates tasks. And the reach out, the variance that you're supposed to do as an agent is probably like once a month. If they're far out, it might only be bi-monthly, right? And then the rest is automated. Because if you create too many tasks to your agents, they're never going to do them all.
Okay, that's interesting. That's
so
really
just finding the load.
Yeah, so like, you know, I'd say a lead that's going to be ready in under a year. We've got automated that's happening maybe like twice a month to a month, depending on where it is in the stage. And then the agent being told to do a call or a text directly, probably once a month.
Yeah, there's no after a certain period of no contact, there's never a 30-day period that goes by without some sort of automated email and a task generated to make a phone call or a text.
I love it. I mean, I picked up a few things. Also, the fact that it's like the leads, it's like, listen, if they're a year out, 18 months out, like whatever, we got to start now because we want deals in 18 months. I think a lot of realtors don't understand the markets, how they work, how people buy, and the fact that you need to fill your pipeline for 6 months. This is, if you want to be really, really good at real estate, you want to be like you guys, people listening, you know, you want to be like Ara and Ryan. It's like, you got to play the long game. You're not in real estate for a year. You're in real estate for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. And that's how you win like copious amounts of money and have like the life you could have ever dreamed of. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching 100% for free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.